Hello there. So you did heavy squats yesterday, huh? Or you just need to work your hip mobility? I got you. Here's a short sequence for your hamstrings and your hips. What you would need, if you have a yoga belt, grab it. But if you don't, no worries. Just get yourself a scarf. It will do. So grab what you need, get yourself something comfy to wear, and meet me on the mat. We are going to be starting first in your downward facing dog. So you want to bring your hands as wide as your shoulders onto the floor. And then from your tabletop, you want to tuck your toes under, lift your knees, and start lifting your hips up towards the ceiling. Walk your feet as far out as you need so that you can start finding length in your spine. And your feet should be roughly as wide as your hips. Now, your knees can be bent. Don't worry about those. Don't hesitate to bend the right knee and then bend the left. Just start looking for sensations in your hamstrings. And then at your own time, whenever you're ready, I invite you to really press your both hands and all 10 fingers into the floor, down and forward, so that your head passes through in between your biceps. Nod yes, no maybe with your head. And then from here, keep your hips high as you squeeze your shoulder blades together to open your chest and to open your armpits towards your knees. Your knees can still be bent. Don't worry about that. You're first looking for length in your spine. So squeeze the shoulder blades a little bit more. Relax your head a little bit heavier. And then keeping your back nice and flat, keeping your hips nice and high. See if you can either straighten your knees a little bit more, or if you can start kicking your heels a little bit lower, closer down towards the floor. See, don't hesitate to try out and experiment which movement, whether the heels down to the floor or stretching your knees, what gives you a nicer stretch in the back side of your legs, all the way from your heels to your sit bones. Last 3 breaths in here. Big breaths. Inhaling into the belly, into the chest, exhaling completely. And then at your own time, whenever you're ready, next inhale, I invite you to kick your right leg up. Kick it as high as you can. And at the same time, kick the left heel down further closer towards the floor and feel everything in the left hamstring, left calf. Last breath. And then exhale. Bring your right knee to your right elbow. Right foot next to your right hand, and your left knee would go down onto the floor. From here, you want to inhale and drop your hips heavy and forward as they go. And then you would exhale to send your hips as far back as you can, straightening your right knee. Now you want to be supporting yourself with your hands onto the floor. In case that doesn't happen, don't hesitate to reach for your shin or your thigh. And then again, you would inhale, hips forward, feeling everything in the right inner thigh, and then exhale, sending your hips backward, stretching the right knee as much as you can, and then looking for the stretch in your right hamstring, leaning with your torso over that right leg, and then 3 minimum more on your own, in your own rhythm, inhaling forward, exhaling backward, supporting yourself with your hands wherever you can. But wherever you go, go for your limit. Go for your maximum range of motion. Two more. And I invite you to notice, as you're going, every breath to your maximum range of motion. How does it feel? Do the sensations in your hips and in your thighs change? Are they any different? And the next time you find yourself inhaling your hips forward, I invite you to stay there. Bring your right hand on the inside of your right foot. And from here, you want to start dropping both hips heavy down towards the floor, especially the right hip. You want to be sure that your right foot is somewhat underneath your right knee, because you need that space for your hip to go down. If your foot is too close in, you can't really sink your hip. So be sure that the foot is forward and then sink down towards the floor. You can be on your hands, you can gently bend your elbows, or maybe you will bend your elbows a little bit more to come down onto your forearms. Wherever you go, it depends on where your hips let you go. You want to be focusing on finding the stretch in your right inner thigh and on working that right hip. Your right knee might flip out to the side. Don't worry, that's more than fine. So find your limit. How far, how low can you go? How far do you need to bend your elbows to feel a nice, good stretch, a nice, good challenge? And then you stay there for 5 breaths. Big, slow breaths. Inhaling into your belly, into your chest, feeling your ribs expanding. Exhaling really slowly, with control, pressing all the air out. Last 2-3 breaths here. Don't hesitate to go a little deeper if that's what you want. Maybe the sensations in your right hip have changed over the time, or maybe it's getting a little bit too intense, so maybe you need to back off a little bit and press yourself a little bit higher. So you choose, don't hesitate to adapt. Last breath. And then at your own time, whenever ready, next exhale, slowly you can press yourself back up onto your hands. Stay in your lunge. Just send your hips a little bit more back so that you have the space. Your right foot walks all the way forward towards the left side. And then you bring your right knee over towards the right side. You're finding your half pigeon. Now, options. You can either sit with your back leg completely straight. If you do so, you want to be sinking your both hips equally down to the floor. In case that does not really work for you because maybe your right knee is complaining or because you're really high up and you're tensing up in your muscles, don't worry, just sit actually onto your right hip. Bend both knees into 90 degrees angles, and then you would be folding forward from here. So choose whichever variation, whichever setup of your legs actually works for you better. Don't worry, you will get to work your hip and inner thigh as much as you fold forward your torso over your thigh. And that's exactly where, again, you regulate how much you are going to feel by how much you're going to fold forward. So you can be here on your hands, you can bend your elbows, you can go down all the way to your forearms, you can completely lean forward, forehead down to the floor. Choose, and then stay again for minimum 5 breaths this time. Inhale deeply every time. Exhale completely every time. And maybe you can imagine that you will send every breath into that right hip, right thigh. And then you will use your exhale to soften all the sensations in your right hip and your right thigh. Three more deep breaths wherever you are, going deeper if that's what you want. Maybe sinking your chest lower. dropping your forehead heavier, or maybe gently pressing yourself a little bit up in case the sensations are getting a little bit too intense. Last breath. And then slowly you can really completely press yourself up. Press your both hands down into the floor as wide as your shoulders. Tuck the toes of your back foot under, lift the back knee. Find back again your downward facing dog. Walk off your down dog. Give yourself 3 big breaths in your down dog. You want to press the floor with your hands down and forward. Head passing through between your biceps, squeezing your shoulder blades together, lifting the sit bones high, and kick your heels slower down towards the floor. Feel everything in that right and left leg, calves, hamstrings, all the way up to your sit bones. Feel the difference between the right side and the left side. And then whenever ready, next inhale, glide your left leg up. Kick it as high as you can. Kick your right heel down as low as you can. And the next exhale, whenever it comes, left knee to your left elbow, left foot to your left hand, right knee goes down onto the floor. And then from here, first again, you would send your hips as forward as you can. And then exhale to send your hips back until you straighten your left leg, left knee. And here again, you're supporting with yourself with your hands on the floor or on your shin or on the thigh, depending where you can actually fold your torso over that left leg. And then again, you would inhale, send the hips forward as you can. And then exhale, sending your hips backward, stretching the left leg. Looking for your left hamstring. And then 3 minimum more on your own. Inhaling forward, exhaling backwards, and every time really looking for your maximum range of motion. On your exhale, you're looking for that hamstring. And on your inhale, with your hips forward, you're looking for your left inner thigh. Last 1 or 2 in your own rhythm. And the next time you find yourself inhaling your hips forward, I invite you to stay there. Your left knee might flip a little bit more out to the side. Your left hand is on the inside of your left foot. And then from here, you really want to be dropping your hips as heavy as they go down towards the floor, especially the left hip now. Again, pay attention to where your left foot is. It should be somewhere underneath your left knee. Again, if it's not, and if it's a little bit further back, you don't have really where to be dropping your hips and where to be working your hip mobility and your left inner thigh. So foot underneath your knee, and then hips down. Elbows can be straight or a little bit bent, or see how far can you bend your elbows until you start finding that nice stretch and that nice challenge in your left hip, left inner thigh. Once you have found that, stay there for 5 breaths. Big breaths, again, using your breath. And the whole time you want to keep your attention, on your breath and on the sensations in your left hip, left inner thigh. Really every time trying to deepen a little bit that range of motion. Using your exhale to soften the sensations in that hip. Last 2 deep breaths. And then at your own time, whenever you're ready, slowly you can press yourself up. And from here, you can walk your left foot
over towards the right side of your mat, bringing your shin, your knee completely down to the floor on for your pigeon on the left side. So choices. Back leg straight, and you're dropping your both hips heavy down to the floor, and from here you would be leaning your torso forward. Or in case, again, it doesn't work for you because your knee, because your hip, because whatever, sit your left butt cheek onto the floor, bend the back leg. Again, aim for roughly 90 degrees in your hips, in your knees, and from there you would be folding your torso over. So find the setup of the legs that work for you and then fold. Torso over your shin, forehead to your forearms, to your hands, to the floor, whatever that allows you to relax a little bit in this otherwise very uncomfortable position. And then you stay for 5 to 7 big breaths. And again, using your breath to soften whatever sensations need softening in that left hip, left inner thigh. Keeping your attention on the quality of your breath as well. Can you take deep inhales to fill up the belly, to fill up the chest? And slow, controlled exhales to empty all the air out. Three, 4 more deep breaths in here. And then at your own time, whenever you're ready, last breath. And slowly you can press yourself up, seated, and you can sweep your legs in front of you. Now would be the time for you to use your scarf or your belt if you have it, because we would lay back down onto the floor, bringing legs up. So find a comfortable position laying down onto your back. You can bend your knees if you want, and then you would bring your right knee in towards your chest. From there, you would straighten your right leg as far out as you can up in the air. So you can either reach for your foot if you can reach for your foot. But if it doesn't happen, no worries. Either you can bend your knee a little bit, but you still want to be able to aim for that hamstring stretch here. Or that's where the belt or your scarf would come handy, because you would just hook that scarf or the belt over your foot. And then you would, straighten your leg completely while still holding onto your foot. There you go. So lay back down onto your back. You want to hold the belt or your foot as close as you can with your arms straight. And then from here, you relax the arm. You let your shoulder be heavy while you're trying to keep your right knee as straight as you possibly can. And you want to keep your leg active, kicking your heel up towards the ceiling. And then every exhale, can you soften something up? Inhale, release, straighten. And then exhale, soften. Inhale, straight. Exhale, soften. And notice maybe you will be able to adjust the grip on your belt. Maybe you will be able to reach all the way to your foot. Maybe you will be able to straighten that left leg as well, resting it onto the floor. 3 more big breaths. You're really aiming for that right hamstring, bringing the knee as close to your chest as you can. Last breath. And then you can exhale, release. Release the grip. Bring your right knee back to your chest. And you can straighten your right leg. Give yourself a moment to feel right side, left side, and then bend both knees again. Then bend the left knee a little bit more, hug it to your chest, and start straightening that left leg. You want to kick your heel as high as you possibly can, straightening the left knee as much as you can. And from there, you would again be reaching for your foot. If you can't reach for your foot, don't hesitate to bend your knee a little bit. As long as you're feeling stretch in your hamstring, you're fine even with your knee bent. Or if you really want to touch the foot and you really want to keep the knee straight at the same time, but you can't reach for the foot, use the scarf, use the belt. Hook it over your foot, hold it as close to the foot as you can with your elbows straight. And then from there, exhale to relax that arm, relax that left elbow, left shoulder, down closer towards the floor. And again, you're breathing deeply, inhaling to straighten the leg as much as you can, exhaling to soften, and you're looking really for that hamstring. 5 more big breaths, and just notice how the sensations change over time. Maybe you will be able to adjust the grip on your belt. Maybe you will be able to reach all the way to your foot. Maybe you will be able to stretch the bottom leg. If not, don't worry, that's okay. Again, the focus is the left hamstring. 3 more deep breaths. Inhale to straighten. Exhale to soften. Aiming with that left knee, even if it's straight, towards your chest. Yes. Okay. Yes, almost done.
Vous allez passer?
Ok, ça va. Merci.
4% battery.
Okay. Last breath in here. And then at your own time, whenever you're ready, you can release the grip. Rebend your left knee and stretch your left leg next to the right. Give yourself a moment to feel the right side, the left side. And then I invite you to take 10 deep breaths as you're resting on your back. Legs straight, feet flipping apart. Arms alongside of your body, or maybe you'll prefer to put your hands on your belly. And I invite you to focus on your deep inhales, slow exhales. Whenever you're ready, slowly you can start wiggling around your toes, circling your ankles, wiggling around your fingers, circling your wrists. And then you can stretch your arms above your head, kick your heels or point your toes, feel for length. And then you can exhale, release, rest on your back or bend your knees, roll over towards your side, left or right, whichever you prefer. You can stay or you can press yourself up, seated. And for last few moments, just feel the contact of your body with the floor, wherever you are. Feel for length in your spine. Soften your shoulders, soften your face. And slowly you can blink your eyes open to come back to wherever you are. Thank you so much for joining in for this one. And I see you in the next one. Bye.